Hi, today we're going to be talking about copyright law and how it works with fanfiction. So our main question here is fanfiction legal? And I don't really have a good answer for you because fanfiction exists in a legal gray area where, technically speaking, you are violating copyright, but honestly not really, because you are not making money off of it, and no one thinks you created the characters and world in question. No one goes to read Harry Potter fanfiction and believes you wrote Harry Potter. So before we get into it, let's talk about structuralism. Structuralism is the movement of taking cultural texts and ascribing a wider cultural code to them, like how the Odyssey used to be a war story, and now in today's adaptations, we view it more as a metaphor for toxic masculinity. There's a cultural idea, the original text is made, and then different meanings are ascribed onto the cultural text. So, according to copyright law, the original author or copyright holder has exclusive rights to the reproduction of their work in any derivative works. Derivative works here being works based upon one or more pre-existing works. This can be sequels, musicals, or movies. My literature review focuses on three main ideas: the history of fanfiction, fanfiction fair use, fanfiction and the law. In the history, I focus on secondary works, which are texts that are published and don't infringe on copyright, because either there is no copyright or it has run out. Famous examples would be Wicked or any Shakespeare adaptation today. And of course, Star Trek, which was really the advent of fan bases we see today. People were coming out in droves to write and share their expanded universes, and the internet made that so much easier. While fanfiction has never gone to court, nor has any court published an opinion on it, we have a few similar cases to look at. In SunTrust v. Hufen Mifflin Co., we look at Wind Done Gone, which is a critical response to Gone with the Wind that focuses on the slave and queer narrative that Gone with the Wind excluded. The court ruled it to be fair use because it was transformative work and it was also critical. Salinger v. Coding. Coding wrote Catcher in the Rye basically 60 years later, and the court ruled it an infringement because he did not transform any of the characters other than making it 60 years later. Anderson v. Stallone. Anderson sued, claiming that Rocky IV was based off his film treatment he gave the studio. The court ruled his treatment a derivative work and against copyright. Most authors today don't worry about fanfiction. For the most part, it's only online, non-commercialized, and a great way to keep your audience engaged. However, vampire novelist Anne Rice has been known to bring out the big guns, sending out cease and desist to writers and publishers alike, allegedly verbally attacking writers' own businesses and families. Death of the Author is an essay by French critic Ronald Barthes. He asks us to consider the part that authors take in their work after it's been published. Barthes argues that the author has had their say when it comes to ascribing meaning to the text, and any more from them would ruin that cultural text. Cringe is most commonly associated with fanfiction because we can't let young women enjoy things. But the basis of the fact is that a case against fanfiction based on that you don't like it doesn't hold any legal merit. And unfortunately, disclaimers before a fanfiction work also does not hold up in court. See how this gets tricky? Kindle Worlds is fanfiction that you can publish behind a paywall. Amazon bought reproduction licenses from famous works that are often used in fanfiction so writers can sell their work freely, which is fine, but the main draw to fanfiction is that it's accessible to everyone. Fanfiction is a cultural act of expanding on our significant stories and deriving new meanings from it, and I believe that the library can and should encourage fanfiction as a means to embolden young readers in an active way. Thank you for listening, and I hope that provided a good overview with what we're dealing here.